Hey, what's going on, everyone? In today's video, we're going to be talking about why most lead gen campaigns actually fail and what you should be focusing on instead. My name is Hanok. I run a B2B lead gen company, helping companies get intent leads into their pipeline and also building them predictable client acquisition systems. So that being said, let's jump into the video. So here's the truth about why most lead gen campaigns, fail essentially. It's not because of bad ads. It's not because of low budget. It's not because necessarily the algorithms changing. They essentially fail because the strategy from the start is essentially designed to fail, right? And how so? And I'll explain in this video right now. Well, I do understand, right? The funnels, the chatbots, the fancy landing pages, the posts on social media. Yes, those are relatively important. However, they're not top of funnel really important just yet, right? And let's say you have all the leads, even in your CRM, they're not converting, right? It's essentially becoming a broken system. So that is one of the concerns. So the common mistakes that I see a lot of companies do is that they throw money into Facebook ads, TikTok ads, LinkedIn ads, right? They might spin up some cold emails and essentially, get their offer going, right? Which is obviously a great thing, but there's essentially no execution plan, right? They skip all the basic fundamentals, which is having a clear audience, a real offer, and a system that's actually working behind the scenes for them. So number one, right, is a lot of companies don't have a clear target, right? Most campaigns, right, everyone's just chasing everyone, which essentially becomes your commodity in the same pool, right? They actually don't know their ICPs, so their messages actually do not relate and they miss, right? So like Alex Hormozi always says, pick one audience, one offer, and one message to sell at the start. Reason number two is a weak offer, right? Their offer is not cold traffic ready, right? Discounts don't really cut it. Free calls don't really cut it anymore, right? People actually want something tangible and useful, and that's a direct ROI from your product or service, right? Prospects buy outcomes. They don't necessarily just book calendar appointments just for the sake of it. And even if they do, they're probably not a qualified lead and they're probably not someone that's necessarily actively looking to buy your services just yet, right? So build an offer that solves one urgent pain that actually gives them a direct outcome. Number three essentially is a poor follow-up system, right? I cannot express this why a lot of leads go dead is because people don't follow up correctly, right? People will send one or two emails or one or two DMs and then assuming, hey, they haven't responded, they're not interested, that's fine, right? 70% of leads don't buy because no one follows up, right? They don't actually follow up correctly, right? So use a system that actually follows up across multiple touch points, whether it's retargeting ads, email sequences, SMS sequences, or even calling them. Those are all different touch points that are needed for you to build a client acquisition system that's actually bulletproof when it comes down to your follow-up and not having any misleads. Number four is not tracking the metrics, right? Like I cannot imagine how many companies just say, hey, the leads are bad. How do you know the leads are bad, right? People focus on leads generated instead of the leads qualified, right? So track how many book calls, connection rates, conversions, and just not vanity metrics that look good in the front end. Number five is no one actually iterates and actually gets feedback from the data they've collected, right? There's no review, no iteration, right? So what I like to do internally for ourselves is obviously doing like a weekly audit, seeing how our numbers are, how can we tweak our scripts, potentially our angles and targeting. But one of the biggest things I always tell people is if it's already cooking and it's working, don't fix it, right? Just build pipeline on the back end. So when it's time to actually change your copy or when it's time to change your creative or when it's time to change your targeting, you're already ready to go and you just insert it and just let it run and go and iterate from there, right? So tweak only if you have to, but always use the data to say, okay, cool, this is what's working now. How could we improve this if we got to, or how do we just leave this for now and actually just build a pipeline on the back end? So when it does run out, we could just switch it and keep going. So here's what you actually need to need. And I'm just going to explain it right now. Here we go. So number one is quality over quantity, right? Most people chase volume, which is great, of course, at the start, but they're just generating as many leads as possible and they only burn money on the ads. And then, essentially you're speaking to unqualified leads and just wasting your time or their sales team's time, right? So at the start, generate fewer but high intent leads, right? So try and see, okay, cool. We've got some leads. What's working, right? Filter for better targeting, add qualifying questions so you're able to kick out the tire kickers and just track how many valid leads are actually coming into your pipeline rather than just total form fills, right? Quality leads to real pipeline, right? Quantity just creates noise and just annoys everyone. Number two is a clear offer over broad promises, right? A broad offer would be, book your strategy call or book about scaling, right? Like those are not really specific, CTAs, right? So make sure your offer is actually clear, saying, hey, add 10 qualified appointments in 30 days or pay nothing, right? That's one of the famous things in the online space that Hormozi always talks about, making sure your offer actually delivers an outcome and a measurable problem. right? Because a clear offer actually attracts the right people, and then promises attract the wrong types of people into your pipeline. Number 3 is follow up over first contact, right? You need to follow up until you get the no. That's how I like to approach things. The reason why is because some people are busy, right? C-level executives are busy, you're busy, right? I think it's also about the types of follow-ups you do, right? In different places, right? Email, SMS, LinkedIn, automating things so things don't fall up through the so slipping through the cracks. So your follow-ups build trust and they actually help you close deals over time. Number 4 is a system over guessing, right? Random actions don't scale without a process, right? So map out your lead flow from the beginning to where you guys are closing the deals. Automate handoffs so it's just easier for marketing and sales, and then build dashboards so you're able to collect the data and actually go about with it and make right decisions. Iteration over perfection. I cannot express this enough because all founders always stress about is making sure they have a perfect product or making sure their offer is perfect. Yes, that is important to some degree, but you won't know if it's perfect until you just actually launch it, right? And actually making sure your offer is valid in the market, right? So people always wait for the perfect versions, right? That never is a reality. That's just procrastination in disguise. So launch fast, collect data, improve weekly, right? Review your metrics, and then adjust your offers or scripts or targeting if you have to, right? If not, leave it, let it run until you really got to. But the biggest thing is always staying consistent and always tweaking when you need to, rather than just waiting for things to be perfect. In conclusion, right, the old ways of generating leads versus the new ways, right? The old way was capturing anyone, right? The new way is now qualifying early, so you're not just clogging up your pipeline. More leads doesn't necessarily mean equals better, right? Better leads equals things being more scalable, right? Relying on automation solely, right? Building buyers' trust is really important, especially in this market condition that we're in, with everyone not trusting a lot of people in the online space, right? Another one is focusing just directly on traffic. Yes, traffic is really important. I'm not denying that at all, like especially at the start, but focusing on intent and actually knowing, okay, what do people actually want and how can we actually get them to purchase our products or services, right? So define your audience, build a real offer, follow up until you get an answer, use systems to track every step of the way, and then review your weekly results to make small improvements. And then that's how you turn random campaigns into actually predictable pipeline. So if your current deal lead flow feels random, low quality, it's probably not your sales team, right? It's usually the source. So what we do here at our company is we help businesses get high intent pre-vetted leads that are already qualified to buy, right? No wasted outreach, no cold lists. Every lead meets your criteria before it hits your pipeline. So if you actually want predictable deal flow that actually compounds over time, fill out the form down below and one of our team members will be in contact, right? Just a disclaimer, please note that we only work with a few select companies. We only do this so we're actually able to provide value, quality up front, and consistency so companies can actually handle these amount of leads. So that being said, appreciate you watching the video. Have a great day. Love and peace.